Good evening from Texas. We got another good day in behind us, and we're going to load some ammo. Yeah. What we're going to do tonight is load up some 38 Special. I'm going to turn this in there where you can see it. See it? Alright. I thought those had different primers in them, but I guess I was mistaken. Anyway, we're going to load up some of these new 125 hollow points. I think they're called splintered metal or something, so it's like powdered metal compressed. It's really good stuff for shooting steel. When you hit steel, it just goes poof, kind of like when you're fortunate enough to really hit a clay pigeon really good and it just explodes in a puff. That's what these do. And I'm thinking it probably wouldn't be bad defensive ammo. Worst case scenario, it's going to go in, it's going to hit something solid, and it's going to fragment, and it won't be good. So anyway, we're going to load some of them up. We have 25 pieces of brass here. I've got to go in and flare the mouse on them, and then we will go to stuffing them. Yeah, we're going to use old Reliable over here, the old RCBS, because I don't have a shell plate for 38-357 for the killer's Dylan up there. So anyway, we'll get everything prepped up. We'll video some of it. Here we go. 38 Special, 125 grain splintered metal, I believe is what these are called, 125 grain hollow points. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We've got primed 38 brass, ready to go, sized, primed, but it needs to be belled right there, because if you don't, the bullet's not going to go in right. It'll peel some of it off, or worst case, it'll crash the brass and just stack it. And yeah, you don't want to do that, even though it's cheap brass. Well, relatively cheap. None of it's extremely cheap anymore. But what we're wanting to do with all these straight wall cases, that's just the way it's going to be. Be it 38, 454, 444 Marlin, in them straight wall cases, is the projectile won't go in there without problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to bell the steel here. So we made a little bit of adjustments. Got it where we want it. Run her up in there, give her a little tug. And I know you can't see that. Well, maybe you can, but you can certainly feel it. But here is the test. See that? Yeah, the bullet just sits down in there. That will keep us from just killing the brass, trying to just force this thing in there. And lead is terrible. It'll peel lead and it'll just make a mess. But anyway, we're going to bell the case. We're going to do that with the 25 we have here, and then we'll go to the next step. Okie dokie. We got them all belled, and now we're going to use this little device here called a powder drop. It is a fine adjustment, and I've got it set at the load I want, which is about a mid-grade load for a 38 Special. So more of a target load is really what we're looking for these little 125s, because a lot of people shoot them out of what we call stub nose, so it's got a little bitty barrel and this, that, and the other. But I have found that the 38, depending on the 38, if you really run it up there hot, some guns like it, some don't. As a rule, though, I like to keep them pretty much towards target speed, which in my mind on a 38, especially a short barrel, like mine's got a 6-inch barrel, so it'll be a little longer or a little faster. This should be 750, maybe 800 feet a second out of a little 125 grain bullet. So here we go. And yes, I've calibrated this thing multiple times, and since we're throwing this small amount of powder, it's really consistent. we're using unique powder mainly because I got a lot of it. And unique is one of those unique powders, play on words. It can be used for a lot of small handgun stuff, but also can be used for shotgun. So, one of them crazy powders that, you know, little does a lot. You really want to be careful with this because the load that we're running, you really could double charge one. I mean, it would go in the case, a double charge, but we're going to take our time and get all these done. Look in them, they all seem to stack up about the same, which you can't see that. Maybe you can. I don't know that you can see in there, but these all seem to be really close, which according to me testing the powder drop earlier, it ought to be. The maximum swing wasn't but about 1/10 of a grain from the heaviest to the lightest, so that's pretty stinking good. So all right, here we go. All right, we got the crimp where we want it. Well, you can't see, can you? Got the crimp where we want it. And I'm going to adjust the seating stem down and until it touches. You know, lock that bad boy in. There you go. Guess it helps y'all can see, couldn't it? Anyway. And now we have an overall length set with a crimp on it to help hold the bullet, because during recoil it'll almost like a dead blow effect. If that's not in there good and tight, those bullets could actually shake forward or shake backwards. You don't want them to move. It's bad. So here we go. Done. Set this bad boy up here. Set the bullet on top of her. Run it in, feel the tension, and throw that up there before that falls. I'm going to do another check on my overall length, and it's perfect. And then we're going to go in here and set it. Yeah. 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 It's beautiful. So we're going to load us 22 more of these. And in no time, this is what you end up with. 25, ready to go, target 38 rounds. 125 grain, I think it's called splintered metals, whatever, anyway. It's compressed powdered metal, kind of like those powder metal rods that are in those LT1s and stuff like that. But anyway, supposedly it hits steel and just poof. So anyway, there you go. Yep, hard part is just getting components. If you can get components, you get out there and get after it. Luckily, this was one of those deals to where I had primed a bunch of brass in the past and bagged it, sized, trimmed, bagged, and all that. The only thing I didn't do is flare them. They were pretty much ready to load. Makes it pretty nice. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe.